First Contact's price. The Meridian battlecruiser emerged from hyperspace with the confidence of a predator that had never known defeat. Commander Zixtal stood on his command deck, his crystalline form refracting the starlight as he gazed at the blue-green world before him. Earth, as the locals called it. Another primitive world to add to the Meridian Collective's ever-expanding territory. Status report, he commanded, his crystalline resonance echoing through the bridge. Preliminary scans complete, Commander, his science officer responded. Their orbital defenses are minimal. Primitive satellites and a single space station. No energy shields detected. Their most advanced weapons appear to be chemical propulsion missiles. Zixtal's crystalline surface rippled with amusement. The Meridians had conquered 1,000 worlds, all more advanced than this one. Their method was simple: overwhelming force, quick subjugation, minimal casualties. It was almost boring in its efficiency. Standard conquest protocol, he ordered. Target their largest military installations. Once their defensive capabilities are neutralized, we'll begin the integration process. The first plasma bolts streaked through Earth's atmosphere, their brilliant blue-white trails illuminating the night sky over what humans called the Pacific Ocean. The Meridians expected panic, surrender, or at most, a futile resistance using obsolete weapons. They didn't expect the silence. No radio transmissions, no desperate pleas, no launches of primitive nuclear weapons, just silence. Commander, his tactical officer's voice carried an edge of uncertainty. We're detecting unusual movement patterns in their orbital debris field. Before Zixtal could respond, proximity alarms screamed across the bridge. Hundreds of small objects were accelerating toward his fleet at impossible velocities. The humans had turned their junk, old satellites, spent rocket stages, even pieces of ancient space debris, into kinetic weapons propelled by hastily attached fusion drives. The first impact shattered one of his escort ships into a crystalline cloud. The second penetrated his flagship's supposedly impenetrable energy shields. Shields designed to deflect energy weapons and missiles, not chunks of metal moving at relativistic speeds. Impossible. Zixtal's voice resonated with shock. Their technology level. They shouldn't be capable. Multiple launches detected from the surface. His tactical officer interrupted. But these readings, they don't match any known weapons profile. From the planet's surface, thousands of small craft were rising. Civilian aircraft, retrofitted with makeshift energy shielding cobbled together from salvaged Meridian technology from their first strikes. The humans had analyzed, adapted, and weaponized alien tech in mere hours. But it was what came next that truly terrified the Meridians. Human quantum physicists, working in hidden bunkers, had observed the unique crystalline structure of Meridian ships. In less than a day, they had developed what they called resonance weapons, devices that broadcast specific frequencies that could shatter Meridian crystal technology like an opera singer breaking a wine glass. The human counterattack was devastating in its simplicity and brutality. They hadn't just adapted to fight the Meridians. They had turned the very nature of their enemies into a weapon against them. Ships began to shatter, their crystalline structures disintegrating under the harmonic assault. Full retreat, Zixtal ordered, his own form beginning to crack under the resonant frequencies. Send warning to the collective. These humans, they're not primitive. They're something else entirely. As the remaining Meridian ships flowed into hyperspace, they carried with them a message that would send shockwaves through the galaxy. Humanity wasn't just another species to be conquered. They were something unprecedented, a race that could turn their technological inferiority into an advantage, that could analyze and adapt to new threats with terrifying speed, and that would use any means necessary to defend their home. In the aftermath, as humanity began to reverse engineer the technology from the shattered Meridian ships, a simple message was broadcast on all frequencies, in all languages the Meridians had used. To all who would threaten Earth, we are humanity. We don't want war, but we will not hesitate to defend ourselves. Your technological superiority means nothing. Your established protocols mean nothing. We will use everything at our disposal. Every piece of debris, every scrap of knowledge, every dirty trick, and desperate gambit to protect our home. Consider this your only warning. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they had announced their presence not with diplomatic overtures or displays of advanced technology, but with an object lesson in why technological superiority means nothing in the face of human ingenuity and determination. In the great halls of the Galactic Conclave, the news spread quickly. Earth was not to be trifled with, not because they were the most advanced, or the strongest, or the most numerous, but because they were the most dangerous thing in the galaxy, a species that could turn anything, even their own limitations, into a weapon. The age of easy conquests was over. The era of humanity had begun, the art of human warfare. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the holographic display in Earth's newly constructed Space Defense Command, watching as thousands of dots representing training vessels maneuvered through the asteroid belt. 6 months had passed since the Meridian invasion, and humanity had been busy. "Show me the Lazarus Protocol simulation again," she commanded. The display shifted, showing a devastating new tactic that would have been considered insane by any other spacefaring race. Deliberately destroyed human ships reassembling themselves from pre-positioned modular components, turning space battles into wars of attrition that traditional alien tactics couldn't handle. The Arcturus Defense Fleet is requesting another demonstration, her XO, Commander Rodriguez, reported. They still don't believe our last engagement numbers. Chen smiled grimly. The Arcturus Empire had been the second alien power to test humanity's defenses, believing the Meridian defeat was a fluke. They'd retreated with a third of their fleet destroyed, not by advanced weapons, but by mining drones reprogrammed into suicide bombers and civilian cargo ships converted into electromagnetic pulse platforms. "Let them doubt," she replied. "It's worked in our favor so far." The truth was, humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their rapidly advancing technology. It was their willingness to break every established rule of warfare. While other species spent millennia developing elaborate combat doctrines and honor codes, humans had looked at space combat with fresh eyes and reached a simple conclusion. There was no wrong way to win a battle. "New contact," the sensor officer announced. "Large fleet emerging from FTL at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Configuration matches Helian Republic signatures." Chen's expression hardened. The Helians were known for their rigid adherence to traditional combat formations and their belief in their tactical superiority. They were also the third major power to try their luck against Earth in as many months. "Deploy the Ghost Fleet," she ordered. Across the solar system, thousands of automated vessels activated. Unlike the massive, easily targeted ships of other species, these were little more than engines, basic AI cores, and holographic projectors. They could appear as anything from massive battleships to civilian transports, creating phantom fleets that made actual human forces impossible to track. The Helian fleet advanced in perfect formation, their energy weapons charged and shields at maximum. They never saw the real attack coming. Hundreds of modified space station modules, abandoned after the Meridian incident, had been converted into massive electromagnetic pulse generators. When they detonated, the carefully coordinated Helian formation dissolved into chaos. "Their shields are down," Rodriguez reported. "Initiating Phase 2. Phase 2 was perhaps humanity's most insidious innovation. During the Meridian attack, humans had discovered that most alien shields were optimized against energy weapons and high-velocity projectiles. So they developed weapons that moved slowly, clouds of self-replicating nanobots that could slip through shield frequencies designed to stop faster threats. The Helian ships began to disintegrate as the nanobots converted their hull material into more nanobots. It wasn't a quick process, but it was unstoppable. The alien fleet retreated in disarray, leaving behind ships that crumbled into clouds of metallic dust. "Send the usual message," Chen ordered. The message was the same one they'd sent to the Meridians and the Arcturans, a simple offer of peace, trade, and cultural exchange, along with sensor logs showing exactly how their defenses had been breached. It was both olive branch and warning. Humanity would prefer friendship, but they would not hesitate to innovate new ways of winning if forced to fight. In her private quarters later, Chen reviewed reports from Earth's various research divisions. The Meridian crystalline technology had been reverse-engineered into new forms of quantum computing. Arcturus shield generators had been modified into planetary defense systems, and the Helion wreckage would undoubtedly yield new discoveries. "Admiral," her AI assistant interrupted. "The Galactic Conclave has sent another request for humanity to accept membership and submit to their military regulations." Chen laughed. The Conclave still didn't understand. Humanity wasn't interested in playing by the established rules of space warfare. They were writing their own. "Send them our standard response," she said. "We're happy to join as equals, but we will not compromise our right to defend ourselves by any means necessary." As she watched the message transmit, Chen reflected on how quickly humanity had adapted to its new reality. In less than a year, they'd gone from a planetary civilization to one that had fought off 3 major galactic powers, not through superior technology or numbers, but through innovation, adaptation, and a willingness to rewrite the rules of engagement. The stars outside her window seemed to shine brighter now, not with the promise of peaceful exploration as humanity had once dreamed, but with the determination to survive and thrive in a hostile universe. They had learned the hard way that the galaxy wasn't always friendly, but humanity had also shown that they were more than ready for the challenge. "Any other alien fleets trying their luck today?" she asked her eye. "Not yet, Admiral. It seems our reputation is finally starting to sink in." Chen nodded. Perhaps now they could focus on more interesting projects, like figuring out how to turn black holes into weapons, just in case they needed it. After all, humanity's greatest strength wasn't their ability to fight. It was their endless capacity to imagine new possibilities, even if those possibilities terrified everyone else in the galaxy. Breaking the rules. The grand chamber of the Galactic Conclave hummed with nervous energy as representatives from 1,000 species gathered for an emergency session. At the center of the vast amphitheater, a hologram displayed the latest human innovation, a small fleet of ships deliberately flying into a star, using its magnetic field to accelerate to speeds that violated what most species considered possible. High Chancellor Vexthor, their tentacles shifting in agitation, activated their translation matrix. "This cannot continue," they announced to the assembly. "The humans are breaking fundamental laws of civilized warfare. They're exploiting stellar phenomena as weapons. They're turning civilian technology into military assets. They paused, multiple eyes blinking in distress. "They're being innovative." The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Innovation in warfare had been banned by the Galactic Conclave millennia ago, after the devastating entropy wars. Combat was supposed to follow established protocols, with approved weapons and tactics. The humans weren't just breaking the rules. They were acting like the rules didn't exist. Perhaps, suggested Ambassador Catal of the Silicon Consciousness, their crystalline form gleaming, "we should consider that our rules are the problem, not the humans." Shocked gasps echoed through the chamber. Tal continued, their voice resonating with carefully modulated frequencies. "In the past year, human approaches to problem-solving have revolutionized everything from energy production to medical science. Yes, their military innovations terrify us, but their civilian advances are equally revolutionary." The hologram shifted to show a human medical facility where modified Meridian crystalline technology was being used to regrow lost limbs. Another image showed human engineers using adapted alien quantum drives to clean up ocean pollution. A third displayed a massive space habitat constructed from salvage debris of previous battles. "The humans don't just break rules in warfare," Catal observed. "They break them everywhere, and often for the better." A new voice cut through the chamber. Dr. Elizabeth Hayes, Earth's first representative to the conclave. She hadn't been invited to this session, but in typical human fashion, that hadn't stopped her from appearing. Honorable members of the conclave, she addressed the startled assembly. I apologize for the unconventional entrance, but it seemed appropriate given the topic of discussion. She gestured, and the hologram changed to show Earth's solar system. You see chaos in our methods. We see necessity. Every species here evolved on worlds that allowed for gradual development. Earth didn't give us that luxury. We survived ice ages, asteroids, supervolcanoes, and our own mistakes. We learned to adapt or die. The hologram zoomed in on various human installations throughout their system. Yes, we turn stars into weapons when we need to. We also turn them into power sources and transportation networks. We transform debris into habitats, viruses into cures, and problems into opportunities. That's not just our military doctrine. It's who we are. Chancellor Vexthor's tentacles writhed in agitation. But the rules. Hayes interrupted, should serve life, not restrict it. Every rule in your war protocols, every regulation in your technology guidelines, they all assume that stability is the highest good. But we came from a world where stability is an illusion. Change is the only constant. She walked to the center of the chamber, her simple Earth uniform a stark contrast to the ornate robes around her. We're not here to destroy your civilization or overthrow your conclave. We're here to show you that there are always more possibilities than your rules suggest. The chamber fell silent as Hayes activated a personal hologram. It showed a devastating problem the conclave had been fighting for centuries, a cascading quantum anomaly that was slowly destroying entire solar systems. Your rules say this is unsolvable, she said. We think otherwise. Give us 6 months, no restrictions, and we'll show you how breaking the rules might just save lives. The silence deepened as the implications sank in. The humans weren't just breaking military protocols. They were challenging the very foundations of how galactic civilization approached problems. And if we refuse? Chancellor Vexthor asked. Hayes smiled. Then we'll solve it anyway, because that's what humans do. We break rules, we find solutions, we survive. We just prefer to do it with you rather than despite you. As the chamber erupted in heated debate, Hayes transmitted one final image. A human child building a sandcastle, knocking it down, and building it again, better and stronger. This is humanity, she said simply. We break things, including rules, not because we love destruction, but because we know that sometimes you have to break the old to build something better. The question isn't whether we'll change the galaxy, it's whether you'll help us make those changes benefit everyone. The message was clear. Humanity wasn't going to conform to the galaxy's rules. Instead, they were going to rewrite them, one broken convention at a time. And perhaps, just perhaps, that was exactly what the galaxy needed. The galaxy holds its breath. The quantum anomaly that had been devouring the Carina sector for centuries disappeared in a flash of impossible mathematics and human audacity. Dr. Marcus Zhang stood on the observation deck of the ESS Prometheus, watching as his team's solution rewrote what the galaxy thought possible. The conclave representatives are requesting permission to board, his AI assistant reported. They seem unsettled. Zhang smiled. Unsettled was becoming the galaxy's default state when dealing with humans. They'd solved the quantum anomaly problem not through conventional means, but by treating space-time itself as a programming language that could be debugged and patched. The conclave delegation arrived in their traditional ceremonial robes, led by senior observer Angstval of the energy beings. Their luminous form flickered with barely contained agitation. This is impossible, Angstval stated, their energy patterns pulsing erratically. You cannot simply edit reality. Clearly, we can, Zhang replied, gesturing to where the anomaly had been. The problem wasn't that it was impossible. It was that everyone assumed it was impossible. So they never tried the impossible solutions. The delegation watched as human ships began setting up quantum stabilization arrays throughout the formerly threatened sector. These weren't elegant machines built to exacting specifications. They were jury-rigged combinations of salvaged alien tech, human innovations, and what several species had dubbed reckless improvisation. "But your methods," another delegate began. "Work," John finished. "They work because we don't care if something is supposed to be impossible. We care if it solves the problem." Across the galaxy, similar scenes were playing out. Human approaches to everything from faster-than-light travel to environmental restoration were sending shockwaves through established scientific communities. Some species reacted with horror at humanity's casual disregard for established theories. Others, particularly younger civilizations, watched with growing fascination. The Meridians, humanity's first adversaries, had undergone perhaps the most dramatic transformation. After their initial defeat, they'd begun cautiously studying human methods. Now their crystalline ships incorporated organic components, something previously considered heretical in their culture. They'd learned that adaptation wasn't just about survival, it was about growth. In the industrial zones of the Helian Republic, centuries of rigid manufacturing protocols were being quietly set aside as engineers' experiments with human-inspired innovations. Their production efficiency had increased by 300%, even as their energy consumption dropped. Even the Silicon consciousness, among the oldest civilizations in the galaxy, found themselves reevaluating core protocols. They'd observed how humans treated artificial intelligence, not as tools or even as equals, but as partners in exploration and innovation. It challenged their fundamental assumptions about the nature of consciousness itself. But not everyone embraced the changes. The eternal hierarchy, a coalition of ancient species who had held power for millennia, saw human influence as a threat to galactic stability. They pointed to how humanity's methods were spreading. Species modifying their ships without proper authorization, young civilizations questioning established hierarchies, ancient treaties being challenged by new possibilities. "Your species is causing chaos," High Lord Zinvax of the Eternal Hierarchy declared during an emergency session of the conclave. Every day, more civilizations abandon proper procedures in favor of human improvisation. Dr. Hayes, now Earth's permanent ambassador, had responded with characteristic directness. "Change isn't chaos," she said. "It's evolution. And right now, the galaxy is evolving." She displayed a hologram showing how species that adopted human innovations were solving problems that had plagued them for generations. The Arcturus Empire had eliminated a millennium-old food shortage by combining their agricultural technology with modified human hydroponics. The Quantum Collective had enhanced their computational capabilities by incorporating human-inspired randomness into their algorithms. "We're not destroying the galaxy's civilization," Hayes continued. "We're showing it new possibilities. Some of our methods may seem chaotic, but chaos is just order we don't understand yet." The truth was, humanity's influence couldn't be contained because it wasn't just about technology or methods. It was about ideas. The idea that rules could be questioned. That impossible things might be possible if you tried anyway. That adaptation and innovation weren't just survival strategies, but paths to advancement. As Jean watched the quantum stabilization arrays come online, he reflected on how quickly the galaxy was changing. Species that had been stuck in technological stasis for millennia were beginning to experiment. Ancient rivals were cautiously collaborating on human-inspired projects. The galaxy was holding its breath, watching to see what these unpredictable humans would do next. "Sir," his AI interrupted his thoughts, "we're detecting unusual quantum signatures from the stabilization array. It appears to be evolving." Zhang's eyes lit up with curiosity. Even their solutions had solutions of their own. "Record everything," he ordered. "Let's see what impossible thing happens next." The galaxy might be holding its breath, but humanity was just getting started. They had universes to debug, realities to reprogram, and endless impossibilities to attempt. And slowly but surely, they were teaching the galaxy to do the same. A new order, 10 years after humanity's first contact with the Meridians, the galaxy had changed more than it had in the previous 10,000 years. The Great Hall of the Galactic Conclave bore witness to this transformation as representatives from every known species gathered for a historic session. The ancient chamber, once a monument to unchanging tradition, now hummed with hybrid technologies. Quantum crystal displays merged meridian and human engineering. Gravity generators incorporating impossible human mathematics allowed species from high and low gravity worlds to move comfortably throughout the space. Even the air itself was maintained by environmental systems that defied conventional physics. Admiral Sarah Chen, now Earth's senior ambassador, stood at the center of the chamber. Behind her, a holographic display showed the latest crisis, a collision between two supermassive black holes that threatened an entire galactic arm. 10 years ago, she began, you would have evacuated those systems, accepted the loss, called it inevitable. The chamber was silent. She was right. Today, she continued, we have options. The Meridians have adapted their crystalline technology to generate quantum shields. The silicon consciousness has developed new computational models based on human chaos theory. The Hellions have restructured their entire engineering approach. Working together, we can not only save those systems, we can harness the energy of the collision to create something new. The display shifted to show the proposed solution. A vast network of quantum stabilizers and gravity manipulators that would not only prevent disaster but transform the black hole collision into a controlled power source for thousands of worlds. High Chancellor Vexthor, who had once feared human influence, raised their tentacles in approval. The eternal hierarchy supports this proposal, they announced, shocking many. The oldest, most conservative power in the galaxy endorsing what would once have been considered an abomination against natural law. But that was humanity's true victory, not the technological advances, not the military innovations, but the fundamental change in how the galaxy approached problems. The impossible had become possible simply because humans refused to accept impossibility. There's more, Chen announced. During our analysis of the black hole situation, we discovered something unexpected. The quantum fluctuations between the colliding singularities match patterns we've detected in what we once thought was empty space. We believe we found evidence of other universes, and we think we know how to reach them. The chamber erupted in a chaos of voices, appendages, and energy patterns. A decade ago, such a claim would have been dismissed as madness. Now, species across the galaxy began forming research teams in their minds before Chen had even finished speaking. This is humanity's gift to the galaxy. Chen continued once the chaos subsided. Not our technology, not our methods, but our refusal to accept limitations, our drive to question, to explore, to try the impossible again and again until it works. She gestured, and the hologram expanded to fill the chamber with swirling mathematical patterns that represented the theoretical gateways between universes. We don't know what's on the other side. We don't know what new challenges we'll face. But we know that together, combining the wisdom of ancient species with the innovation of younger ones, we'll find a way forward. The Meridian representative, their crystalline form now incorporating organic elements in ways their ancestors would have found horrifying, chimed in with harmonics of agreement. We fought the humans first. They resonated. We feared them most. And now we understand. They never sought to conquer the galaxy. They sought to awaken it. Across the chamber, representatives nodded, pulsed, or expressed agreement in their unique ways. The galaxy hadn't just survived humanity's chaotic influence. It had been reborn through it. Species that had been stagnant for millennia were exploring new possibilities. Ancient enemies were collaborating on projects that would once have been forbidden. The old order is gone, Chen acknowledged. But what replaces it isn't chaos. It's not endless change for change's sake. It's something better. A civilization that combines the wisdom of the ages with the courage to question everything. A galaxy that remembers its past, but isn't imprisoned by it. As if to emphasize her point, the black hole simulation showed the moment of collision transforming into a controlled quantum cascade, destructive force becoming creative energy. "We are all humans now," the Silicon Consciousness representative declared, using a phrase that had become increasingly common. Not because other species had become like humans physically or culturally, but because they had embraced humanity's core trait, the refusal to accept limitations. The vote to proceed with both the Black Hole Project and the Universe Exploration Initiative was unanimous, something that had never happened in the conclave's history. As Chen watched the results display, she smiled at the irony. Humanity had arrived in the galaxy ready to fight for survival, only to find their greatest victory came not from their ability to wage war, but from their ability to imagine peace in ways no one had tried before. The galaxy had held its breath, waiting to see what humanity would do. Now it was breathing new air, thinking new thoughts, trying new possibilities. And somewhere, in the quantum patterns between colliding black holes, other universes were waiting to be discovered. Humanity had come to the stars wondering if they were ready. It turned out they were exactly what the galaxy needed, not because they were stronger or smarter or more advanced, but because they never stopped asking, what if? And why not? And that question would take them all beyond the stars themselves.